So kick me in the teeth, better make me bleed. Cause I'm so goddamn fond of proving you wrong. But it's not fun when you don't play along. Drop to the pavement, knees hit the ground. How badly can you when you're down? I'm so fond of proving you wrong. But it's no fun when you don't play along. Drop to the pavement, knees hit the ground.
And that was Poison Pop by QBOMB from their latest album, Hyperpunk. And for today's very special episode of Radio Graffiti on Newgrounds, I welcome you, IZZY DELUXE, from QBOMB.
How's it going?
Yeah! Welcome to the show, Izzy.
Happy to be here. Very excited. Thanks for playing one of our songs.
Yeah, no, all throughout this episode, or not episode, but like this whole show, Poison Pop and every single track from your latest album is coming out.
Oh yeah.
While we're talking.
Great. You're gonna all hear me on top of me. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. No,
what song is playing right now? I'm gonna try to line up. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna listen to the radio station. I'm gonna see.
No.
Okay, no, I won't do it. I'm just kidding. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Poison Pop is happening, and it's just like where the bridge is happening. Your constant toxic shit. Yeah. I know that's the very end.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn
it's
it.
all good.
I'll figure it
But
out.
no, you're all good. Glad to have you on. Glad to have a representative QBOMB. Welcome to Newgrounds, your first ever foray, I assume, to talk to everybody here live.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, I'm a Newgrounds baby, but I've been away and now I'm back.
Yeah. No, super tons of fun to have you around. And I just wanted to say, welcome, thank you. I want everybody to get onto QBOMB, because the more people that listen to QBOMB, go on Spotify, check QBOMB out. More people listen, more of a chance for QBOMB to maybe go around and travel a bit more in the future.
We would love to. It really is like hard to tour unless there's a shitload of people that are listening to you across at least America. Like we're in talks to do a West Coast tour sometime next year, but even that is like, it's challenging, especially with 6 people. But yeah, the more people we get being vocally supportive of us and, buying our merch and getting excited, telling their friends, that's huge. Is like word of mouth is huge, and I think people take it for granted, but it's the biggest tool that we have is just people telling their friends about us. So keep it up.
Yeah, no. Again, everyone, I highly recommend QBOMB. They are pretty much punk pushed to the extreme currently at the moment. How would you guys define yourselves?
I mean, I think the album is how we define ourselves. It's hyperpunk, but yeah, I don't like genre. I don't like
Gotcha.
definitions. It's not. I feel like everybody says that, but it's more because I just think it starts to constrain you. And
Right.
And so to me it was like, I don't want to be. People ask us like, what kind of music do you play? And I'm like, I guess it's like punk, it's metal. I don't know, but it's more than that. And so to me, it's like I had to come up with our own genre just to not worry about that. Like it is hyperpunk, and now we are free of all of those expectations that people assign to punk or metal or new metal or whatever, So it's its own thing.
You guys just want to do your own thing, experiment more, and not be tied down too much. I got you.
Yeah.
I've been very curious to know about how the story of QBOMB started. What birthed IZZY DELUXE and Rem and all the rest?
Well, so the earliest, I'll take it back to like 2009, and me and Rem had a completely different musical project called Gamboozle that was like a chiptune hip hop group. It was just
all right,
yeah. It was us two and my friend Sam, who is just a really talented vocalist, and Rem Rem was still in LA. I was living in Chicago at the time. with my friend Sam, and I always wanted to do music. Since high school, I've always wanted to do something. But it's hard. It's hard to line up the pieces, and so we took a crack at it. We made. We were writing an album. It was also a concept album of sorts. We wrote a bunch of stuff. We recorded 3 songs. They're still online. You can find them pretty easily. And you can kind of hear the beginnings of what is now QBOMB. Different personas, different style, but it's there. It's mine and Rem's influences kind of overlapping for the first time. And and then life got in the way, and it got hard to keep up with it, and never got to finish that album, although someday I still kind of want to, because I think it still holds up. And then in like 2016, I think, I was working at Nickelodeon, and they were doing this talent show thing called Ninkapalooza, and they were like, hey, if you anybody that's working here, if you want to play some music, doesn't matter what it is, come play. It's a 6-minute set. And I was like, 6 minutes, that's not bad. And so
they got you there, like at Nickelodeon?
Yeah, that was our first ever show. So me and Rem, I was like, hey, we can write 3 songs. Let's write 3 short songs, 3 punk songs. And so the first song that I ever wrote was Buzzkiller, and to me it was like, this is a proclamation of what this band is. And I always imagined it. Because I'm also a visual artist, like I think very visually and very theatrically, I guess. And so I was like, this is an intro track for the band, for the album, for any show that we play. And that's how it shaped itself, and it builds, and every instrument comes in, and so that was always like, I imagined it as everything I do with QBOMB, I try to imagine it on the biggest stage possible and then scale
yes
back.
Yes, like, no, that's exactly how it should be.
Yeah, you want to think big. And so so that's what it was. I imagined it with all lighting and people coming up on platforms from below the stage, and it's everyone is cheering. So that's always like the thing. So Buzzkiller was the first song that I wrote. Rem obviously helped a lot with the music, and that one I've rewritten it a few times before the version that everyone hears now, and just tweaking lines and things. But and then Rem Build a Robot Out of Trash, and
yes,
amazing
tracks.
song.
Yeah.
And I feel like between those two songs, we were like, we know what we're doing. Like this is the sound, and it was very angry, very very blown out. The first line in the Buzzkiller is "blow out your amplifiers," and that's like that's a command. That's not that's
not a suggestion. Yeah,
that's not a suggestion. That's a command. That's how I want people to perceive us is turn it up and put in earplugs or not. Fuck it. And then Insania was the third, and that was very much like a. Lyrically it was mostly my song, but musically it was very much Rem, and we just kind of since then have come up with this process of going back and forth, where Rem is amazing at just pulling these little, what we call sketches, out of his head, and he has done these long stretches where he does like one a day, just one little sketch a day, just a little burst of music, and then from this huge catalog of ideas I will narrow it down. I'll be like, I like these, I think this is the most hyper, this is the most QBOMB,
right?
Or
okay.
at the time this is the most hyperpunk. And then I do a lot of composing too. I'll get in there and write some guitar lines or bass lines or drums. I'm a drummer. That's the only instrument I know how to play is drums, so I do a lot. I pretty much write all the drum parts.
Right.
And then depends on how the song is structured. I think we try to mix it up with each song as to so it doesn't get repetitive. So one is all Rem, one is all me. One I wanted to Poison Pop. I wanted it to be where all 3 of us move around. I wrote it like a K-pop song. I think I don't know if I've said it in public, but Poison Pop.
This is the first time I'm hearing it. Yeah.
Yeah, Poison Pop is my attempt at a K-pop song, because I was really into K-pop at the time, and
I think I can kind of hear.
Maybe
the pop element of K-pop.
Yeah,
is what I hear from it. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Well, I've been saying that, like, to me, QBOMB, the ideal version of QBOMB is like K-punk, where it's that level of over the top, almost like, anime cartoon levels of cool. But we're doing it in a rock way instead of a pop way. And so that's why we always wear these costumes. That's why everything is so bright and, like, all the colors are so bright despite us being like grungy and metal. And everyone has their personalities. That's always something that we try to, like, push forward.
I think you guys do like a really wonderful job at like putting up the showmanship for what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Especially what I love the most is your music videos and
Thank you.
your live performances from what I've seen. Just the costumes that you guys implement all together. Remember in your Poison Pop music video, you had the baseball costumes and set, and I was like, "Whoa, these guys are pushing the characters a lot."
It took
right here.
months to put that together. Yeah, it was.
Oh, can you get in on that?
On what?
On the putting Poison Pop together.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about that video is that, like, it's a funny tidbit, I guess, that I had the idea for the video before I had the idea for the song, and our guitarist Ari, we used to work together at Nickelodeon, me and Ari and Jordy, and we would spitball ideas, and Ari had mentioned, like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we had a video where we're dressed in like those like Japanese baseball uniforms?
Yes.
And it was like I was like, yeah, that would be cool. And then I started thinking about it, and I came up with this whole idea of us playing against this team, and I didn't know if it was going to be animated yet because I didn't know if we could pull that off. But I wrote the song as a response. Like, I was like, I want to write what that song would be, and so I knew it had to be upbeat. It had to be very in your face, and I wanted to do this sort of K-pop thing where it rotates between all the vocalists, and had to have a real catchy hook, had to have a very like melodic bridge. That is, like, all these pieces were sort of there before I even kind of got into it. And we started with just the guitar riff. I like just kept trying things, and Rem helped me put together the finished version, that like that.
Yeah.
It was like slightly different when I wrote it, and then Rem made it really sing. And so and then we just tinkered with it for months and months and months. Like, lyrics are always the hardest for me because I obviously want to write with purpose, but I also write to what I think would sound good coming out of my mouth, which
that's always a bit of a balance. That's tough to strike.
Yeah. And I actually, people will sometimes ask, or I'll see people talking about, like, how do you write lyrics? And it's like, lyrics is not even the hard part, because I think anyone can write lyrics, but yeah. I think the part that maybe trips people up is they just don't like how stuff sounds when they perform it, and it's like, well, then change it. Yeah. Like, find the version of those lyrics that make you feel good when you perform them. And that's what I always do. Is I have this persona, I have this character sort of in mind, and so I will adjust lines, I will adjust syllables to match how I want to sound, either live or on the recording, and it goes a long way. It makes it feel like it's meant for me, Yeah,
no, and I think you strike a very good balance. To me, what lyrics always start off as is poetry, and an idea that I want to, like, start up, embellish, and then as the process goes on, as you start making music, things need to adjust or change or value however it needs to be to, like, become the best version of it as possible.
Yeah. No, it's iterative, and
that's the word.
I think Rem, I think, has a really big talent for just churning out really awesome lines, and the songs that he has written, he, like, Build a Robot Out of Trash is almost it's mostly him lyrically. Soften the Grave is mostly him. There's all the chunks that are in like Million AD that he's doing are his parts, and we split that up pretty much evenly. Man, he has such a way with words. but like it's harder for me. Like I'm not gonna lie, and I say that because I think I want to make it clear that it doesn't always come easy. Like it is. It is an iterative process, and it's like I have to find different angles every time. Like I find what is inspiring me for this song, what is it that I want to convey, and not just like lyrically, but like aesthetically almost, you know?
Yeah. Again, you said you thought about things visually.
Yes.
When you're writing, and so you like put that all together. What image do you want to evoke? Yeah, I get what you're putting down.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I love the variety in music videos you guys do. Not just live action, tons of phenomenal compositing too. But Dire Break is my personal favorite, if I had to say.
Oh, good. That's great.
Because when I saw that music video and I saw the Muppets go around and the performance that went with it, I was like, oh, this is super, super radical Sesame Street.
Yes.
That's what I was going for.
Similarly, well, that video thing is like, we've been chipping away at this for years, and so like our friend Andrew, who is the director and is the director in the video, he came to me with that idea. He was like, originally it was for Build a Robot Out of Trash, actually.
Oh,
and he was like, yeah. He's like, hey, I want to make a video with you guys as puppets, and you're building this giant robot. And I was like, that's sick.
Oh,
but
that's cool.
it is. Maybe I shouldn't have revealed that, but it's like, it felt like when Dire Break became one of our singles, I was like, hey, I really want to do that video still. What can you come up with for Dire Break? And he had an idea. He was like, oh, I think it'd be great if it was like, it actually made more sense in a way because it's, where puppets is part of this like show, like the Sesame Street type show, and we're being abused and we're burnt out, and so it all clicked together nicely. Yeah, that video shoot was a pain in the ass, man. It was 2 days. None of us had ever done any puppeting, and so we weren't prepared for how like physically taxing it is. But like you're on the ground for hours and your arm up, so it's like all the blood is leaving your arm, and sometimes there was times where like the puppet was too low,
right.
Like in the table or whatever, and so I would have to like flex my like abs so that I could like move it up just ever so slightly and stay like that for the next like 2 minutes.
Oh, dude. It's a workout and a half, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was like actually getting a good workout doing the puppeteering on that, but it turned out great. Like it's such a good video.
It's actually really cool because I kind of half expected, but I didn't really expect that you guys were the ones that are piloting the puppets.
Oh, we didn't do like ourselves necessarily. Like we would, because we were taking breaks. Yeah.
Right.
So there's definitely like somebody's playing somebody else a lot in solo shots.
That's tons of fun. I actually like that a lot.
Yeah, with the group shots, it was all us.
Yeah. Oh, that's that's actually really fun.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Just to ask, how many sessions did that whole video take you for Dire Break?
It was 2 days. It was like 10 to 5 or 6 or something like that. Like it was like a long afternoon. And we broke it up that way just so that it was not as difficult. Because we've had other videos. So the video for Everything's Fine was shot all in one day, from like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. or maybe even longer. I think we overstayed our welcome at that place. But
a full 12-hour day, yeah.
It was brutal, yeah. And we had to manage. We didn't have our amazing manager Al Soon yet, and so I was kind of running the show, and we had to, we had I think like 12 people at the most in that room that were just the crowd, plus you have 6 band members, plus you have the director and videographer. And like trying to coordinate. I had help from friends just helping corral everyone, but like it was hot in that room. It was our first video, so we all weren't sure what we were doing, and it's amazing that it came out.
Oh no, it's beautiful actually.
Yeah, that video really is great.
How'd you guys do the lighting for that one?
I wish I had details on that, but that's not my thing. So it was just
I got you.
we were just lit. I mean, the colors were actually done in post. We were just lit, directionally, so that we had those like strong highlights.
Right.
And then we tweaked it to be like pink and whatever. And then Cracker Shock was also it was a day. I don't think it was a full 12 hours, but it was a long day. And because it was all close-ups and so strongly lit, every time you would have to reset the lighting, and we would have to just like patiently wait. So there's a lot of like hurry up and wait. It's like we would perform for 3-5 minutes and then reset. So it was more just kind of stop and go.
Yeah, just to catch different angles, I assume.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of footage.
And do you have any like details you can give on the post-processing element of the music videos, like editing, stitching all that together? Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, so the last 3 videos I was involved in from beginning to end, and so I was like kind of overseeing every step. Like Cracker Shock, we went through our director did all this sort of preliminary cut, and then we had like 4 or 5 sessions of like many hours of just going in and like adjusting shot by shot by shot, just tweaking the timing. And this is over like Zoom or Discord or something, so it was like I was just kind of trusting that he knew what I was saying, because you can't get precise over a Zoom call. So I was like, okay, this feels a little weird. I think it might be a frame off. Can you just check? So it was like that. Like it was that.
Okay. The level of minutia, yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. But then we got the cut down. We got the sort of the edit down the way we wanted it, and then our label actually told us to work with Pedro Calva, who has done all of the Living Tombstone, a lot of the Living Tombstones, like VFX stuff, and all of that like post work is like it made the video. Like it was missing something, and that's what it was missing. It was all of the lighting effects, and that took some time. Like he really put hours in on that too, and so it turned out so cool. And we were like exchanging ideas the whole time too.
Yeah, no, everything came out beautifully. The teamwork went phenomenal throughout the whole project, and super excited to hear that.
Yeah, and then Poison Pop was a whole other thing. Like, I talked about the origins of it, but like that was always our big tentpole thing. So like I had the idea. I knew what the storyboards were going to be. I just had to do them. And so I spent a couple months in January, February doing the whole thing in storyboards. I mean, we have that up online now.
Yeah, you have the whole animatic up on your YouTube.
The whole animatic, yeah. Which I definitely wanted to show, because it's so precise, and you can see how we didn't change much. And it gave it a nice template, so it was easier to explain to everybody like what I had in mind. And I worked with a couple of really close friends of mine from college that I still see every time I visit home. And I was like, this is going to be a really big project. You're going to hate me by the end of this. And like,
yeah,
and I don't think we can pay you that much. So I was like, are you still down for this? And they were like, yeah, this sounds fun. Like, let's do it.
Yeah, everyone wants to work on the dream project.
Yeah, it's just that, they were doing like corporate videos, so this was just like a fun thing for them to do on the side. And they put in so much more time than they should have, but they believed in it, and I'm really thankful for it. And so and then we got a really awesome animator, John Goranson, to do all the animation, and eventually got an assistant animator, Lucy Toner, and but the whole time I was keeping an eye on things, giving feedback like almost every day, every time there was like stuff coming back. I honestly I wanted to challenge myself, because I was like, you know what, I think with all the skills that I have acquired, like this feels like a culmination of all of it as far as directing goes, and and I'm glad I did. Like, I think that obviously a huge part of that is just the people that were brought onto the project, but man, like it's exactly what I wanted it to be. Like I obviously, I wish it had a lot more views, but that's just the nature of YouTube. Like I don't really know what more you can do.
For everybody listening right now, if you want to see the animatic that Izzy is talking about, go to YouTube, type QBOMB, and literally the first video that you see on their channel will be that animatic for Poison Pop.
Yes, that is our most recent thing. Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, we were trying our best to match that. Like we were, it was a 3-day shoot, hot as fuck. Like it was a really hot weekend in I think June, and we were there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We had a whole baseball field rented. It was just like constant.
Wait. An entire baseball field? Like I assumed it was like a park out in
No.
the open. No, it was a legit field.
It was like a practice field, although I don't know, they probably do play games there, but
okay.
No, we had to rent it because it was a whole thing. Like we knew that if we try to do a guerrilla style where we find some park and we post up, there was no guarantee that there wasn't already going to be people there or a game schedule or whatever. So just as far as and our directors are from Chicago, so they had to fly in, and it was like we could not risk it. So it was actually the biggest cost of the video, other than paying people, was renting that field because.
Oh, I bet, dude.
Yeah,
that's insanity. Yeah.
We had to do it, and I'm glad we did. And it was stressful, and our manager really came through. Like she, was calling people up, and we almost at one point they double booked us, and so she had to bring the hammer down and like, what the fuck, like this is not okay. But we got there. There was still problems because they had like just watered the field for some fucking reason, and so like there was the first few hours when we showed up, there was puddles everywhere, and we were like, all right, I guess we're gonna shoot around the puddles, like, and then like there wasn't lines drawn on the going from base to base, and so we had to find chalk like in some dirty closet. And again, our amazing manager Alsoon, she like got one of those little push carts and like made the lines while we were shooting other stuff. It was such a team effort. Like it was such a fucking team effort, and I still like sometimes I think about it, I just get a little choked up because it was just such like an amazing process. Just like everyone and me, being the guy who's like, hey, we're gonna do like a video where we're like playing baseball and it's like really cool. Like for everybody to just be like, yeah, all right, let's do it, and then like work their asses off to make it, like it's fucking insane. Like it's so humbling, and like, and the fact that it turned out as good as it did is so rewarding because it could have been a disaster.
Yeah,
in so many ways.
Outside of the novelty of Dire Break and what I love about just Muppets, Poison Pop as a music video experience is just truly phenomenal. I like the mix of live action. I love what was the name of the enemy team? I forgot.
The Haters.
The Haters! Yeah!
It's the stupidest name. Hey, look, I like spent probably a year trying to come up with a better name for the other team.
No, it's actually kind of perfect.
Yeah,
too bad I forgot.
Haters.
Yeah. And okay, so they were green and pink. These are like my personal 2 favorite colors of all time. And I try and incorporate them as much as I can in like different projects.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess that is.
Yeah, so I was just like, okay, no, this is absolutely my jam. I'm glad that this video exists, and it sounds like a miracle that it all came together and you guys put it up.
Yeah, it kind of does feel like a miracle, but a good one.
Yeah. And what does the future currently look like for QBOMB?
We would love to figure out some kind of tour.
Mm-hmm.
It's we're obviously trying to figure out where it would make sense, how it would make sense. But other than that, like we have a gallery in December 3rd in Little Tokyo in LA. It is a gallery of QBOMB inspired artwork with a bunch of really awesome artists.
I'm gonna give like a hint, nudge over here that you guys should definitely check it out.
You should, yeah. If you're in LA, come to QPop on Saturday, December 3rd. we might play a secret show. It's not secret if I say it, but we're gonna play it. We're gonna play a show.
Okay.
And yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's the first. It might be the first like all ages technically show that we're gonna play. So if you're in LA and you've never been able to come see us, because usually the venues are 21 and up, then like come through. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I know it's super tough to get an all ages venue booked.
Yeah, it's just because they don't really, venues don't really make money on the door. They have to pay that to the bands. So the booze is where they make all their money. Mm-hmm. Which is like, yeah, I get it, but it sucks. Like I wish, because our audience is a lot of people that are underage, and it's a shame that they can't come see us at this point in our careers. Eventually, if we play at bigger venues, then like, man, they better be not 21 and up, because that'd be stupid. But
just incorporate as many people as possible. I'm sure the shows are insanely fun live. I've seen videos and clips that people have been posting around of you guys performing, and I'm just like, oh man, I wish I was in that pit a lot of the time.
It's fun. Yeah. We have very friendly pits. I try to encourage a friendly pit.
Yeah, no.
Throw your friend across the room, but do it in a loving way.
Yeah. Don't get each other thrown in the hospital, but yeah.
No, please don't. Please don't do that. But
in any pit, not just not just
a
QBOMB pit, but like any pit.
Sure.
But no, that's super fun. I'm super excited for this gallery show you guys are doing. And
but yeah, like we're taking a small little break just because everything is obviously winding down.
Yeah. It's much well deserved.
Oh god, I really need the break. Full stop. But we're gonna studio. We have some more music written, and so we're gonna start working on some new songs. I am beginning to tinker with like our follow-up album.
Okay.
We have a lot of material. It's just it's like a block of marble that we need to kind of chip away at, and to get to the statue of David underneath, like SpongeBob. But we'll get there.
No, I'm sure you guys will. The work that you've been putting in so far is just, an indicator of things to come.
I hope so. Yeah, it's only going to get bigger if I have anything to say about it.
Yeah. And I have one more question of mine that I want to ask.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned chiptunes earlier with Rem and your previous band that you guys have worked together with. What are some of your musical influences that have really pushed you guys to like say like, hey, yeah, let's do a band. Let's get everything together, get people together, and make this thing happen?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. There's some obvious ones, and then there's like less than obvious ones. I grew up listening to Linkin Park.
Okay.
Yeah, Linkin Park, Slipknot. Huge Mindless Self-Indulgence fan, and so we constantly get compared to them, and it's hard to hide the influence, at least in the early songs. I feel like the rest of the album you don't hear it as much, but the singles, there's definitely shades of it. What else? I mean, there's little bits and pieces, like we love My Chemical Romance, we love Muse, we love these are all like the bigger bands, but then there's weirder stuff. Like I said, like I got really into K-pop for a moment just because I like the
bombastic performances of K-pop.
Yeah, the bombastic nature of it. Bombastic.
QBOMB.
QBOMB. I like the way they structure their songs, the hooks, like So I that was definitely a big thing with Poison Pop. But then beyond that, it was what else do I like? Yeah, I like some. I'm trying to think of references. There's a band called Blood Brothers that not everyone knows about.
Ooh,
but
okay,
had
I'm
a
gonna check that out soon.
yeah, they had a pretty big influence on their scene when they were still together, and there's two vocalists, and one has this insane high-pitched voice, and the other one is a little more subdued, and there's definitely big shades of Blood Brothers in QBOMB. There's a song called Crimes that you can hear it. A song called Peacock. It's a longer name, but if you look up Peacock, you'll find it. Yeah, I was really into Deontward for a moment.
Can you repeat that?
Sort of Deontward. They're a South African rap group that
Ooh, okay.
aren't around anymore, and or at least aren't good anymore. I don't know.
That's always a shame.
Yeah, for like multiple reasons. And yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff though. I listen to a lot of things. I listen to a lot of hip hop. Like I love LP, Run the Jewels. You know, I'd have to flip through my like music, all my music playlists. But I've been really into Bringing the Horizon lately. I know they're like one of the biggest bands, but I like just discovered them. And,
dude, I bet every time I do karaoke nowadays with my friends, I just Can You Feel the Heart is something that
that has become my like new challenge of like, can I unlock the part of my voice that does this? Because right now I can't. Like Ollie Sykes sings in a range that's so much higher than I can, and he also does it with that vocal fry, and
it's so difficult to belt out, but it's extremely cathartic whenever you're able to like, you know, hit that note.
Yeah,
it's
their last album was nuts. I think I saw the video for Obey with like the kaiju and the mech, and I was like, oh, this is sick. I was like, I want to do this. What the fuck? And
dude, kaiju,
that's a
kaiju QBOMB. Oh, with the mech. Wait a minute.
I would love to if we had that kind of budget. I feel like yeah. So that video was really cool, and I was like, who are these guys? And I didn't like right away, but then I came back to it, and then like Parasite Eve is such a fucking banger, and then I ended up listening to that whole album, and it's grown on me more and more.
This is just gonna be like a completely out of nowhere thing, but like Parasite Eve is also like one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. He clearly was playing a lot of. I think he said it that he was playing a lot of like PlayStation 1 survival horror games.
Yep.
I mean, the album's called Survival Horror, so
it's so sick, dude. It makes me so happy to hear that.
Yeah, he's just a big nerd. Yeah. An extremely good-looking big nerd. Yeah, so Bringing the Horizons is probably my most recent obsession. But I've also been trying to use. I don't usually use Spotify. I've been trying to use Spotify more because I want to find more new music, and it's been recommending some more like underground stuff that I really like. Me and Rem both really like an artist called Stomach Book.
Okay.
That are they're on the up and up. Like they're pretty small right now, but I promise you they're gonna start getting more traction. I hope they do. And so I think just from the two of us being really into that album for a couple months, there's going to be like traces of it in any future songs that we do. So that's the most recent stuff, I think.
Yeah, for me, I've been listening to a lot of the Go Team on my own.
Oh yeah,
the guys that did a bunch of stuff on Little Big Planet. When it was around. They've also done work on Luminous, like way back in the day, Luminous 2. Or not they've done work, but they've had songs of theirs on Luminous 2, which I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, I've been super excited about them. They're also a 6-piece. I know how that goes.
And cool. Right now we're going to move into listener and viewer questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, first and foremost, Pastel Fire, Frail Bulb at Twitter, says, I don't know how to say this right now, but what inspired you to make a band and what motivates you to keep doing this and your art? Let's focus in on the last part of that question, since we already started like a bit with how you guys formed.
That's a great question. It's a loaded question. I think a lot of things inspire me, but the motivation is the hard part, because I think and I don't have any shortage of it, but sometimes it's honestly too much. And I mean, that's what Overkiller is about. Like I can't stop like working on projects and trying to make things and trying to sort of you know, become a somebody, I guess, because it's like, I don't know what it is. But I love to entertain. I love to make things. I love to make cool things. And it sucks when it doesn't hit. It sucks when it doesn't get as much attention as it could. But it never stops me from trying the next thing. And like, QBOMB for me was an escape originally. I was working in animation, and I was doing stuff in development. And development is a hell that I don't wish upon anyone.
Dude, I know, I've been there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was a way for me to vent out a lot of those frustrations, and it started doing well. You know, people started it. As always, like when you pour yourself into something, people like see themselves in it. They hear themselves in it, and so QBOMB started doing well, and then the label approached us, and now we have their support, and so it's validating that the projects that I seem to start, it doesn't always hit. I've had projects that I started on that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. That happens.
Yeah, but I try to keep an eye. I usually give it a couple years, and then if it doesn't feel like it's moving in an upward direction, then I just move on. And QBOMB it has always felt like there's a movement, and it's not as fast as I'd like, of course, but it's always moving forward. And so I don't see myself stopping at any point. And I'm already doing other projects on the side. Like I think that it gives me a lot of fulfillment, and lately, I don't even get as much enjoyment out of like consuming media. Like I still play a lot of video games. I still watch movies and TV.
I relate to you a lot there, actually. I'm in the whole creative mode right now between my own projects, this included, and you kind of. It's not like you don't enjoy games. You don't enjoy music or like. Animation, movies. It's just so tough to find the time and still make things.
Yes. And so that's the thing. Like, I think that people will ask, how do you find the time? And it's just you have to first of all, you have to refocus your brain into focusing on the things that you want to do.
Yep.
And if you don't want to make these things, these whatever it is, animation, music, whatever, why are you forcing yourself? Like, I think that sometimes people they like, consuming it, for lack of a better word. They love listening to music or whatever, and they're
participating.
Like, I want to do this
That's
too.
The word I use.
Participating, yes, participating, yeah. And then they want to make their own stuff, but they just can't work up the drive to do it. And it's like, that's okay. That's fine.
No, that's no issue. Yep, I agree there. 100%.
Yeah, I don't think there's any shame or any problem in not being able to do a thing that you are a fan of, because it is a very difficult task to actually finish shit. Like, it is very difficult.
And on top of finishing things, but there's also the risk of failure, the risk of the
I was going to say, and the lack of reward most of the time makes it even more challenging. So, like, I always actively discourage people from getting into any creative field, because I think that if somebody is, like me, or maybe like you as well, like, you're not going to let anybody stop you. Nobody could have ever stopped me from wanting to do this shit.
Yep.
And I did hear discouragement. I heard a lot of discouragement, and I said, well, all right, fuck it. And yeah, there's tons of heartbreak, tons of depression, and tons of all kinds of bad emotions, but you got to find that balance. But I think that, like, to ask what motivates me, it's not really... It's a need, and I can't stop. And so that's the other issue. That's for me and my therapist to deal with, is me trying to learn to shut my brain off, right? Because it's like, that's how burnout happens. That this kind of personality eventually leads to massive burnout, which is what I'm dealing with the last month. But
that's what Dire Break was about, right?
Dire Break is about that. Yeah, Jordy was going through the same shit, and and we have other songs that are about the same topic, because I think just also in the world we live in now is so it's constantly pushing the need to turn hobbies into side hustles. And,
yeah, that's something that I'm not the biggest fan of. Sometimes like you just gotta do things because of a love of doing it.
100%,
It doesn't have to. It does not always have to be like, you know, money.
100%, yeah. Well, so and it's interesting because like, yes, like fully agree. And I was happiest when I was doing animations for myself, you know, because it was I was a kid and I was just having fun. But it's such a weird, complicated sort of balance thing, because if you want to do more ambitious things, you're not going to be able to do it yourself.
Yes, so you need to collaborate. You need to work with others.
Yes, you need to collaborate. You need to work with others, which is what I've started doing more and more. And it's just more fun too, and you keep each other in check, so it just becomes a bit more of a like a team effort. And but it's you gotta be able to pivot and adjust and figure out how to keep yourself happy too, and like because if you're not happy and you're no longer enjoying making these things, then you probably shouldn't do it. Like, you know, you shouldn't do it anymore.
If you're struggling with it, you don't gotta push yourself for it.
Yeah.
And as a final bit to that, like, whole statement, would you say your friends motivate you?
100%. Yeah. I think that, like, if I was in a bubble, I don't know if I would be able to keep doing all these things, because, like, and even my partner Casey, like, you know, she's incredibly supportive, and she's done a lot of like artwork for QBOMB. She's done a lot of just work, like, and even just being at all the video shoots, you know, ordering pizzas, like, and obviously everybody in the band, like, nobody's getting paid for this shit. Like, I don't know if people understand that, but we have made $0. We're actually like have spent a lot of our money doing this stuff.
Yep.
And that's not a complaint. It's just the nature of things. It's just
the nature of making things. I get you. I'm
until it becomes a big fat success, and then we cash checks. But it's a hobby that is growing into something more than a hobby, and now I have to be a little more protective of it.
Yes,
and
I agree.
You know, I have to be more careful with which time I'm spending on it, and not doing too much, and delegating, and being able to bring in people to help, and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah.
Hope that answers your question, Pastel. And we're gonna move on to the next one right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
On Twitter, from Fez @FezHoofs asks, "You said that you and Rem throw around cool sounding phrases as a way to spitball the lyric process. Any particular favorites that come to mind that haven't made it into any songs yet?" Inquisitively.
That's a tough one, because I don't remember any of the specific ones. I have a note on my phone of a long note of phrases and almost entire verses sometimes that have not made it into anything yet. At the time, it felt like a cool, you know, combination of words or a thought or whatever, and it just never. I don't know. I don't want to give it away. I feel like there's stuff that I might want to use, and if I like.
Okay. You don't gotta say anything if you don't want to, but there are definitely things that you have in mind, I assume.
Oh my God, we have so much. There's so much, and we'll have a process sometime. I try to. It depends on the song and where we're at with the process, but like I try to write as much as I can on my own. But if it's a song that's close to me, but occasionally, I'll be like, Rem, like I need inspiration, like rattle off some phrases to do with blank. And he'll just be, like, the fire consumes us from every inch of our pores. You know, he comes up with these like ridiculous things. I just, but it's like his are even better than that. Like he just comes up with like phrases, and I will take them. Sometimes I'll take them as is. Sometimes I'll chop them up, and I was like, oh, that's good. But I think we can I want to rework that a little bit. And I've done the same for him. Like even though "Soften the Grave" is pretty much entirely his song, there's bits and pieces that I helped him write because he just stuck on it. So, but it's good. Again, it's good to have those collaborative partners.
Yeah, no, just to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
NNY Hyperpunk Arc at Peel Day Ball says, "What are your favorite things about being in the band?"
That's a good question.
You as the frontman, IZZY Deluxe. What do you?
Yeah. Well, I'm more than just the front man, right? Because I make all the sort of creative decisions, and but that's the stuff that I like the most. Like I like writing songs. Writing the songs is a painful process, like anything, any long creative process. But when it's done and it's out of my head and it's good, oh my god, it's like the most satisfying fucking thing. I will just like the way I write stuff is Rem will have these sketches and we'll build it up, we'll flesh it out into like instrumental demo of sorts, and then I'll just be driving around in my car, going places and playing it on loop and just kind of babbling and trying to find like the right sounds and the right melodies, and I'll keep doing that for sometimes weeks and months, and then I'll like come up with a cool line, and I'm like, oh, that's the line, and now I get extract a chorus out of that or whatever. Yeah, it's fuck, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
You were talking about how you come up with a creative process. We were talking about what your favorite part about being in the band is and how everything comes together and what you enjoy about that.
Yeah, I'll tie it back. So yeah, I love when when a song comes together. I love playing live shows.
Yes,
I would.
That's also my personal favorite thing. But yeah,
it's so good. It's so fun, and like I want to play to bigger and bigger crowds. Like I feed off of the energy, and
it is electrifying.
Yeah,
I never get stage fright.
empowering.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun being in front of like a group of people.
I get like fired up. I go like berserker mode. But when it's like we're about to go on stage, I'm like vibrating and I'm like fucking go. Like I get so fired up, and I love it. And I feel like we're getting better and better too, and that's good to see.
Oh, 100%.
And then all the creative stuff. For me, I never wanted QBOMB. I never wanted to involve my own art in QBOMB too much. Like there's obviously I do a lot of designs, but and a lot of like visual directing, but I've always wanted it to be a collaborative thing, bring other people in and people that are just more talented than me. Like our album art, I knew who I wanted it to be. Like I knew I wanted my friend Mike Horowitz to do the line art. I was like, nobody else can do this. And then Jess Marfisi did the colors, and I knew that it was going to be her. And so like I love getting people that are more talented than me to work on this stuff. And so when all those pieces come together, that's my favorite stuff. And I used to do a lot more things that I didn't like doing, but I'm trying to, thanks to our manager, thanks to Rem taking on more responsibilities as well, like it's helped me not burn out on the stuff that I don't like, because if something you're doing starts to feel more like a chore than fun, then you gotta rethink how you're approaching it.
Yep. Sometimes you gotta do it out of necessity.
Absolutely.
But when you reach that point where you can delegate work to other people to cover your weaknesses, it makes it so much better and makes the whole process so much nicer.
That's a great way to put it, because I think the more time I spend doing this stuff and the older I get, I've come to recognize my weaknesses more, and that's a tough thing to do, especially when you're younger, because you want to do it all. But no one can or should, and find those missing pieces. Find the people that will complete you. And it just makes it better. Makes everything better.
There's a beauty in every single element of that. Even when there's a beauty in someone that is weak in something, but like strong in another thing, and they try and overcompensate, or they try and compensate to play around their weaknesses and towards their strengths, and that's always a very nice thing to see.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
That's how style gets pushed, in my opinion.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But next question by Mr. Space Ostrich at Ostrich Space on Twitter says, how do you come up with ideas to make a song about, and how do you make it fit into your hyperpunk genre? I think we've covered this a little
We
bit.
touched on it a little bit. I can add a couple tidbits. Like, I think that we're figuring out what it means to be hyperpunk and what our sound is, despite how maybe thought out the album is. It's still an ongoing thing, and I just it's a feel thing, it's a gut thing, and I actually even have to sometimes encourage other members in the band to participate in that, because I don't think that it's as narrow as they think. Like, I think that we can always figure out what the sound is in the mix. We can, it's usually a lot of bass. It's a lot of very like bass heavy, very distorted, very kind of grungy, but still very precise. But I love that I always wanted to have a variety of songs on the album, because I don't ever want to get boxed in. Like, I think there's kind of a balance between being a band that does the same thing over and over again and people love you for it. That's great. Yeah. And then a band that is constantly experimenting and they're really hard to pin down, and that's also great. But I don't want to be either. Like, I don't want to be in a band that is only doing punk songs and it's always a minute and a half and it's rah 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 and then you're done.
It's almost like how Billy Talent is like evolving throughout time.
Yeah, well, we're talking about Bringing the Horizon. Talk about evolving.
No, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, they started as a hardcore band and kept changing. Like, they just kept like, no, let's do something different. And then they brought in the synth player, and then they have, because of that, they have their biggest single, and so I'm always looking to figure out what we can add to this big old soup of influences to like take us to the next level. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, I have ideas, and I'm keeping an eye on like what is popular right now, what I like right now, within what's popular right now, and trying to kind of work it in.
Getting inspired by your peers, and that's like the biggest thing.
Yeah. Right. I love hyperpop right now. I've been definitely so you might hear a little bit of hyperpop influence in the next songs.
Hey, excited to hear. All right, next question from the QBOMB Discord server. This is also a plug to the QBOMB Discord server if you guys want to.
Yeah, come hang out with us. We got a lot of cool people.
Yeah, no, tons of great people around here. Lee from the server asks, "Who's your favorite artist, but not music?"
Oh, I see. I think I gotta say Toriyama. That's a safe bet.
Akira Toriyama?
Yeah, Akira Toriyama.
Yeah.
I grew up on Dragon Ball Z, and the thing is like, Dragon Ball Z is one thing, but I went back and I read through all of Dragon Ball. I read a lot of his one shots and his other work, and his work just makes me happy.
Dr. Slump, I love the gag.
I wish I could like Dr. Slump. I like. Okay. Yeah, I wish I could, and I try, but I think when he gets too gaggy, it like starts to.
It's very zany. You have to be in on the joke, like the Doraemon like extremisms that happen in Slump.
Yeah,
but I feel I love the designs a lot in Dr. Slump.
I think that he figured out the designs are great. I think he figured out a balance for it with the early Dragon Ball, because it is gaggy, but he had this like actual story to it, and that's what I'm actually rewatching. I started rewatching the anime from the beginning when I work out, because it's such good motivation to just like have Goku beating the shit out of dudes.
Yeah, I've been rereading the manga myself personally for Dragon Ball, and it's his sense of composition and simplicity in the forms too. It's so charming. I don't know how to say it other than that. It's just a very charming, soft, comfortable sort of read.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I agree. But other than that, I don't know. There's a lot of artists. It would be hard to pick one. I think of the names that people know, I think he's a big one for me.
Yeah. Akira Toriyama. IZZY Deluxe is a big fan.
Big fan!
Alright, next question is... we've kind of answered this one a bit already. When did you first start making music, and what inspired you to do so?
Yeah, around 2009. But I was trying to do it even before then, even before I got Rem involved. I just, you know, who doesn't want to be in a band? Like, I actually remember being, I think I might have been a freshman. And I went to my high school's Battle of the Bands, and it was, you know, probably terrible in retrospect. Like, it was probably a bunch of teenagers doing their best.
Hey, it's the start, you know? That's how everyone begins.
Oh, hey. Yeah, and
Who knows how many legends started from that, you know?
Well, not from that school, but yes.
Okay,
in general. But it was really fun. I was just there with my friends, and we were like, I think that was like maybe the first like rock shows that I had ever, you know, quote unquote rock shows that I ever been to. And I was like, I want to do this. I wanted to do it by the end of high school. And I tried to start a band with my friends, and it fell apart. We came up with the name before we ever played. You know, it's like that whole thing where it's like, we're going to be this, and you're going to be this guy, and then I'm going to do this and this and that. And then we had one rehearsal and didn't play a single note, and then it never went anywhere. And I've always tried to like motivate people, but oh man.
It's difficult to find people on the same wavelength. I feel you there. But when you do find those people, it's a legendary experience.
Well, you don't even realize. I'll speak for myself, I guess. I don't even think I realize when it happens at first, because you know, you'll meet somebody and sometimes it'll take a long time for me to realize, like, wait a minute, like we should be doing something together. Like we should be working on this thing.
In my personal experience, it's just jam sessions that just. Play
That's
around
actually,
with friends, and then, we're actually learning about each other as we're playing, and you know, what turns into a hobby evolves into something else.
That is kind of how it started too. I think that you know, me and Rem did our Goomboozle stuff, and it was similar where like we had been friends for some time, and I was like, I'm working on. I've been trying to like start this chiptune thing. Like I want to have this band. I was like trying to mess around with FL Studio at one point, and I just like I just it never clicked for me. And then Rem was like, "Let me give it a shot." And we had this chiptune software called Musagi that we honestly still kind of use, but
nice.
But yeah, it was he just started writing in that, and then I was like, "Oh, this is really good." I didn't know you could write music too. And then I went in there and passed it back, and so all of Goomboozle was done that way. We would pass it back and forth. Oh, and QBOMB, and a good chunk of Hyperpunk too. It was a lot of it was written in a chiptune software.
Like it started off as like lo-fi sketches, I assume, and then it evolves. Yep, that's okay. There's this like HTML like DAW that I use online, and it's called a Beepbox. And it is super lo-fi. You set your sounds and everything, and I've been producing like a bunch of music myself that way, like how I doodle and compose things. And
it's like a tracker. The trackers are tricky,
but it's like doable enough. Is the thing. And for anyone that wants to get into music, and if you want to go super budget, start with Beatbox. I highly recommend it.
This is I found it pretty quickly. It's this is a cool tool. I think what was nice about Musagi was that it has a piano roll.
Those are always wonderful.
It's so much easier. So like we could make a chiptune instrument. You can modify, you know, what you want to do, and there's a bunch of presets. And then it was just a piano roll. So we would write everything like an actual melody, and making adjustments was easy. And so that's how huge part of Hyperpunk was written. So we have all those songs in chiptune, and we might release them someday.
Ooh, super excited.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of our process. I've always wanted to do it, and I honestly still can't always believe that I'm like this deep in it now, because for most of my life it just never seemed like
it feels like such a faraway dream until you're there. And
then it becomes real, and then suddenly you have to like think about how to keep it going.
Yeah, with a lot of my own projects, I'm that way myself, and I'm like, yep, it would start off as a dream in middle school. Like for me personally, I was like, oh hey, I love webcomics, and I've been like, reading webcomics since I was a kid, and I was like, I want to make a webcomic, and then fast forward like 10 how many years, almost like 20 years later, I'm like, no, this is where my life is at, and I'd love to do this as long as possible and as much as possible.
Yeah, it's I don't imagine a future where I'm not doing music anymore. Like I think it's become a big part of my identity, and even though it wasn't for a long time, at least not in this way, now it's like I don't know if I can go back.
Yeah.
It's very fulfilling.
And do what you find is fulfilling. That's what I tell everybody. What makes you happy?
Yeah.
All right. Zip asks here. I'm gonna read their bonus question since we already discussed the first one. Would you ever consider including a future influence of the hurdy-gurdy to the lineup? So I assume they mean the instrument.
Oh, the hurdy-gurdy.
Yeah.
That's right. Never say never, man. I don't know. What does it sound like? Hold on, I'm gonna look this up.
The hurdy-gurdy is just this multi-tiered instrument with a bunch of different sounds in it, and it's just like, it feels like you need to be some sort of wizard to play this thing.
God, I'm looking it up right now. This is insane. Yeah, I don't know. Never say never, but it's gonna be tough to fit it into the QBOMB sound.
I'll adjust this question just a little bit, add my own spin to it. What's a dream instrument you want to add into QBOMB's repertoire?
I mean, what's funny? Well, so we already did a couple. I love when rock music has orchestral sections and violins and shit. And so we did that with the end of Cracker Shock. There's some strings that come in at the end, and it ties it all together. It's so nice.
It's a good transitionary piece too, towards the very end. Oh yeah. Yeah,
it's so good. I love how it came together. And then and that was my friend Nathan Cool that did that. And then I like a horn section. I had a ska moment, and
that's always fun too. I love horns.
Yeah, and so we've never had a full-on horn section, but and I would not be against it at all. But there is I think it's a baritone saxophone in the back of Insania that you can't really. It's there if you listen.
I'll next time I hear Insania, I'm gonna
it's in the chorus, and it's there just to add a stank to it. Just because I wanted it to have. I was listening to this Russian band called the Hatters.
Oh yeah.
Do you know them?
Yep. I love the Hatters. Yeah,
they're great. Yeah, and so I am originally from Ukraine, and I'm
solidarity
Russian.
there, brother.
Hell yeah, man. That's right. I thought you were too.
Oh no, I'm Albanian, but
I see.
Solidarity.
Yeah, for sure. And so I love Gogo Bordello for a moment. I love that. I think it's just in my fucking blood, and so I love that sound. And so occasionally I'll find a band that just does it for me. And yeah, the Hatters, I had a moment with them for a couple months, and I was like, man, there's a song they do, Forever, what is it, Forever something, Forever Young, Forever Drunk, yeah. And they have this low, in the very beginning, and I was like, what is this? And I figured it out. I asked somebody, and then I was like, okay, I want that in there. And I just think it adds texture. I like the texture that it adds.
Yeah, no, it's very nice when you're able to put some variety into tracks. Give it,
so.
A bit of love, extra love. Just so it's gonna sound very pompous, but to add culture to the whole piece.
Yeah, and I agree, but I think that that ties into the conversation about genre too, because it's I don't think it takes a lot to separate to add a little originality to an existing genre. You look at something like System of a Down, even,
Yeah.
and like they just put their Armenian roots in there just a bit, like just a little bit, and people called it new metal or alternative metal or whatever. And to me, as a kid, I was like, it's just fucking metal. But then you listen to the majority of metal, and it's so monotonous and so samey that it's like, oh, and well, no wonder. Like it's
Yeah.
So I love to just find a subtle way to add something original that makes it stand out, and I think we tried to do that with a lot of hyperpunk.
Yeah, no, you do a bunch of fun stuff in hyperpunk, and definitely I'll be like listening in on it more to try and like find more bits of the texture in there.
There's a weird little secret. There's a future bass moment because I had a future bass moment, and listening to oh god, what's his name? Shit. Hold on.
You're all good.
There's an artist that somebody will probably let me know. The song's called Ramune.
Ramune?
Yeah. Oh my god. Why can't I remember the name? Snail's House.
Snail's House. Yes. Yeah.
So I had a moment where I liked Snail's House, and the way that there's that part halfway through my verse and everything's fine, where it's just those like those sounds.
Yes. Yeah.
I was working with our synth player Jake, and I was like, I want this shit to sound like that. Like I want there to be a transition that just has these weird cutesy sound effects that happen right before this fucking drop, and I love it. Like so that's the kind of stuff. Like that's what I mean when it's like you got to open your mind up to other genres and like take little bits and pieces. It just makes it more fun.
Yeah, I'll always be learning from everything around
Yes.
you.
Yeah. 100%.
Cider asks, which music video was the most interesting / fun to make?
I mean, they're all my babies.
Yeah, it's tough. I know, but like,
yeah, they're all my babies. But I think that if I had to pick, it's Poison Pop, just because like
the whole
like I
process
said,
that went into it. Yeah.
I was very heavily involved from the very beginning and throughout the whole thing, and I challenged myself as a director, as a producer of content, and it all came together. It all came together spectacularly, and so like to me that is the most fulfilling one, because I feel like I pulled it off. Like it got the right people. It was actually like fairly low budget too.
Speaking of, Poison Pop is playing in the background right now.
Oh, good. Hell yeah. Yeah, everyone got paid, but we're a small band. We don't have tons of money, and so like we definitely everyone just wanted to be a part of it, and I'm really appreciative of it. But yeah, it was definitely the one that I'm like, oh my god, we did it. And I will keep being proud of it, even if it doesn't have 1 million views or whatever it takes for something to be considered popular.
QBOMB sweep, everybody. Let's try and share Poison Pop around as much and as far-reaching as possible. All right, next question. Kilgore asks, which part of making a song takes the longest, and which part is the most satisfying to work on? Let's focus on what takes the longest for you.
Yeah, lyrics, hands down. I think I think that, thankfully I got Rem to generate really good melodies, and a lot of them come from him. And so that always gives me a strong foundation. And like I'll go in and I'll tweak things, I'll add things, we'll chop it up, figure out how to get to the best version of a song. But then sitting down and trying to figure out like, now what is this about? I'll usually have an idea for what the song is before all the instrumentals are done, but I generally wait until the whole song is finished before I really get into the lyrics, because again, I think of things very visually and theatrically, and so to me it's like I want to know what the arc is, and I'll come up with a way to introduce the song. I have like I have certain little anchor points that I try to stick to. It's like, if it's not the chorus, sometimes, you just come up with a banger chorus by accident. Insania was one of those because I like we had the song, and I had the melody, and then I had the I want to be insane, and I was like, oh, that's it. Like it just kind of came to me, but the process of writing those verses was as painful as the lyrics make it seem. Like it was like, but it was kind of fun to lean into it. That's why I was like, wait, I hate this. This is such a painful process, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna make it the song. I'm gonna make the song about how hard it is to write the song.
You guys do some phenomenal work, and like especially hearing this right now, like I just need to give props to Everything Is Fine for the lyrics and the chorus, how that repeats itself. I just like it. I love how it all comes together and the repetition of like, the phrase. Yeah,
it's they all had a slightly different approach, and like that one, me and Rem were spitballing just ideas for like what do we want to write a song about, and I was just going through it. I was like feeling really anxious about a lot of different things. That was when I first like realized that I have an anxiety disorder, and I was like, ooh, and I felt
what a way to learn.
Well, it was, I was always really like paranoid about a lot of things, and I ended up going to a therapist, and I was telling him all these things I've been feeling, and he's like, well, you have anxiety. He's like, that's what that feels like. And I was like, oh, that's what that word means. And it helped a lot. Knowing what it is helped a lot, and then I could, I learned methods of coping, and I'm much better now than I was whenever that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, all the better for it.
All the better for it. But and the song, so my verse, and so we came up with that idea, like let's do a song about how we just kind of lie to ourselves, and especially I was really fed up with people pretending like things were okay when they weren't, and so that was where that came from. But each of us had a different like chip on our shoulder. And so Rem wrote his verse. Oh, actually, I wrote a different version of my verse first. And it was like me, Rem, and I want to say Ari, just like messing around with the music. I was on drums, Ari was on guitar, Rem was on bass. And we were just kind of toying around. We came up with that core, with the chorus and the sort of the melody. And then I was writing a verse like while we were doing that. And then working on it at home, and then Rem wrote his verse and brought it to the next rehearsal, and it was such a banger fucking verse that I was like, shit! And so I went back and like redid my whole thing. I was like, this sucks.
You had that moment where it's just like, no, you made a cool verse, I gotta make my verse even better. I'm not gonna mention who I'm referencing now. But
that was the best thing that could have happened. Like, and we do that all the time. Like, I don't know, I can't speak for him, but it'll happen where he writes something that is just, I'm like, that's so fucking good, you piece of shit. And so I have to like go back and just redo whatever it is that I was doing.
This is gonna be a stupid joke, but like, Reminem. Reminem. That's what happened. Rem wrote the verse, and then boom, you were like, nah, I gotta one up myself.
That's true. And so that my verse was built around me. I mean, there's bits from the therapy that I was going through. It's like it's just the stuff that I had just learned. I was like plopping it in there.
Yeah, introspection goes a long way. Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah, it does. And I was like, well, I wanted to feel like I wanted to feel like how my brain feels, which is that sort of constantly escalating, the catastrophizing, and so I was like, it has to get faster and faster. And I also wanted to challenge myself because I was like, I haven't really done any like fast rapping, and I know I can do it. And so it became that. And then by the end of the verse, I was like, well, it has to end with a fucking big breath because I'm gonna be exhausted at the end of it. And so it came together. Like it just felt good. Like I was like, yep, that's it. That's the verse. And then Jordy came in and did her version of it, and from her perspective and what she was going through, and it added that very like feminine sort of more ethereal energy that breaks it up, and it's solid. It's a solid song. I'm really proud of
it. I love hearing this like version of the story of like how this song came to be, and it's just super dope. Next question is, Kilgore again, what do you do in your free time? For whatever free time you have.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I don't have that much. But I love. Well, okay. I think that it's important to figure out what that distinction is, because when I have free time, sometimes I want to spend it working on the things that I like. You know, it's hard to draw the line between what is work and what is like play and hobby. When I do enjoy a lot of these things, like, you know, I'm working on these animated shorts right now on the side, and nobody's paying me to do it. So it is work, but it's still work that I get fulfillment on. But if we take all creative things off the table,
no creative things, pure hobby.
Things. I love I love playing video games. I'm pretty much always playing something.
Okay, what's something you're playing currently right now?
Right now I'm playing Rogue Legacy 2.
I've never heard of it.
It's
give a quick pitch.
It's a Metroidvania roguelike game. So, yeah. And what the cool thing about it is that, like, you'll go on a run, you'll play through this castle. It's very Metroidvania in its structure, and then you'll die, and you respawn as the heir of the previous the knight that you were playing as. But they'll have a new set of abilities and handicaps even. And so you have to pick who you're gonna struggle with next time. But it's balanced really well. The first one was great, and then they made it even better with the sequel. Yeah, I always have some game that I'm playing through. I love Metroidvanias, but I think I've played through all of them, so now I'm kind of like
the infinite Metroidvania Rogue Legacy 2.
This is, honestly, it's great because it's exactly what I wanted, was an infinite Metroidvania. Right now, it's really comforting for me to play those. And it finally came out on Switch, and I was like, oh, yes, this is my next, 4 months of my life.
So, shout out to Rogue Legacy 2, the developers that made that.
Shout out. And, I'm like anybody. I like movies and TV. I've been watching a lot of anime.
Any new show?
Yeah, well, there was a big stretch where I didn't like anything.
I feel that. I know, I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that there's maybe one a year that I really connected with, a few years back, it was Devilman Crybaby.
That was a phenomenal show, yeah.
Superb, yeah. I really like Made in Abyss. Anytime there was new Made in Abyss, I was really happy. But right now it's been Mob Psycho, which is blowing me away.
Mob Psycho is also a phenomenal show. I love the story.
Yeah, I feel like, I made my friends say that we feel blessed to exist in a time where it is airing. And it sounds so dramatic, but it's so hard to make something that is that heartfelt and looks that good and has a finite ending that is gonna be satisfying. It's just, that is not common. So it's just fuck yeah. I'm gonna be really bummed when it's over, but I'm glad that it's over, because most anime drags on to the point where it's just not even recognizable.
Yeah. What I really liked about One as a writer for Mob Psycho is just he went and told the story that needed to be told for this character, and it doesn't go, as you were saying, it doesn't go on for too long. Super satisfying, lessons learned, and it just makes me happy personally.
Yeah, really. Every episode, I just walk away happy. And then the Chainsaw Man has been fucking awesome. I love
I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge mega fan of Chainsaw Man.
I knew that. Yeah, I knew that about you. But yeah, it's great. I've read the manga a few times now, and the anime is fantastic. I'll see people dogging on it, and it's shut the fuck up. I feel like the people who complain about it don't know what the fuck they're talking about and are the worst kinds of anime fans. And you can quote me on that, because
yeah,
it's not perfect. Hey, whatever, it's not perfect. I get it, but man,
the amount of energy that goes into this anime, I'm not usually the type of person to watch anime adaptations of things almost ever, because I can read so much faster. But for Chainsaw Man, I made the exception.
Same. Yeah, I agree with that. I have a hard time with anime too.
Because I'm no, I don't have a hard time with original anime, because I'll watch it. But adaptations I usually struggle with, because I'm just I know I could read this faster.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I've read through a lot of stuff. I read through all of Dr. Stone, and then the anime was a slog. I was can't do it. Or even My Hero. Like, I don't really like My Hero, but I tried watching it, and I was like, oh my god! And then we have 15 minutes of more like banter, and then I got through the manga, a huge chunk of it in like a week, and I was like,
Same. Yeah, and I'm caught up in the manga, and I'm just like, I got my own opinions on that. I'm not even going to get into that right now.
Yeah, it's all right, but but I have made the Abyss and the Chamber. There's a new season that just finished airing, and I'm excited to get into that and feel miserable.
If I have a recommendation for you, if you're not already watching,
please, yeah.
The new show Bocchi or Bocchi. It's
Well, how's it
about
spelled?
BOCCHI. It's about high school girls forming a band, and I feel like you're gonna see a lot of overlap with you guys.
I have a hard time with the like cutesy. anime
I
stuff,
know, but this I too also have an issue with it, and like I was not gonna watch this originally, but then I saw a few scenes that people have been posting, and I was like, wait a minute, this show does phenomenal visual elements and metaphors that go so hard. I mean, and I wasn't expecting it to go as hard as it does for a lot of visual elements. They do a bunch of like how do I describe it? Like, not claymation, but they make dioramas where the characters like inside it, and like they're kind of going through their whole metaphorical speeches about, you know, anxieties that they're dealing with, and you just see this whole like Pop Team Epic level like diorama, like mixed media animation, and I'm like, okay, I see you, Bocchi. Keep going, but yeah, I do recommend it. The characters' surnames are actually like the surnames of Asian Kung Fu Generation.
Yeah, that's really funny. I watched a movie recently, an anime movie that is about what is it called? Hold on.
You're all good.
Ongaku? Is that what it's called? Yes, Ongaku. Ongaku R sound, and it's really bizarre and odd. It almost feels like if one like made a movie.
I've seen. I know what you're talking about. I've seen bits and pieces of this, and I'm like, this is something I definitely need to like.
It's good.
Watch.
Yeah, the main character looks like One Punch Man a little bit.
I can see. Yeah, I see it.
It's about these three like high school like delinquents basically, and the main one, the bald one, is like really quiet and stoic, and somebody just like hands him a bass guitar at one point, and he's like, we should start a band. And so they start a band, and all they can play is like one note, but it's kind of dope, and like people start getting really into it. I don't know, and that's like all I'll say is like
okay,
and it's short, it's 70 minutes, like it's great. It's so weird.
I'm looking at this one clip right now of him in a recorder dashing through like this group of delinquents.
Yes, that's what I saw. That's what I was like, I gotta watch this.
And I this is definitely something I'm gonna be watching myself. All right.
Yeah.
Next question is Dream Game by Geodude 1580 on the Discord. What's the dream game you hope to one day get made? Can be anything from basic genre to a story idea that you have and game mechanics. So do you have any dream games that you want to make?
I mean, I love Metroidvanias. I started doing this like animated webcomic a couple of years ago called Robobo.
Yep. Robobo.
And it died after 4 weeks because I was too ambitious of a project, and it was locked down, and I was like, wait, no, I don't have the energy for this. But that started as an idea for a game that then became an idea for a comic that then became a show. Like it's bounced around, but it is very much a Metroidvania that I would love to make. Stylistically, it's all like cute robots that go through awful things, which is great. I
remember Robobo actually, and
yeah.
It's ambitious because you were trying to like animate everything, and I'm like, ooh.
I was. I'm an idiot. It was too much. I did it with Planet Panic. I
remember that too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was in a different place in my life, and it wasn't as difficult. And yeah, it's just so it was too much. But I love that idea. There's a lot of ideas in that game that I think would make it stand out because it's. I wanted to come up with an idea for a Metroidvania that, like Undertale, gives you a pacifist route, and so that was like the beginnings of that. It's like, yes, you can beat the shit out of everything and collect XP and level up and get stronger and stronger. But I was like, what if there was a way to design a game where you didn't do that? And so there is very much in that game the whole. I mean, I'll say it because it's probably not going to fucking happen. But like, you don't have to fight anything. Like, it's sort of in the same way that Undertale does. Like, it makes you think you have to, but in reality, like every single encounter, you could just get around, and you never need brute strength to get to the next thing. So, you know, is it achievable? I don't know, but that was the idea behind it, and I fleshed out a whole world and a bunch of like mechanics and you know, powers and things for everybody. And then I also always wanted to make a game that feels like how the Speed Racer movie is to watch. You know, it's like a racing game where it's not about the racing; it's like car combat in and, you know, high speed, and
like a derby that, like, sort of game almost. No,
sort of, but it's like if you took F-Zero, because F-Zero does have a nice sense of speed.
Oh, gotcha.
But you can flip over your car over other people's cars. You can punch the other cars while you're moving. So it's not like you know, Twisted Metal. Like Twisted Metal is a derby thing. It's like this is more like you're going fast and you're trying to beat the other cars off the road. And Mario Kart, you could say, is similar, but it's not. It doesn't have that like, you know, hyper fast speed. I want to take a car and I want to grind on a rail with it, you know, and then like land and punch the driver in the car next to me. Like that sounds.
I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That actually sounds like it would be super fun. There was this one game developer on Twitter that was posting his racing game where like this car is flipping all over the air, doing twists and turns. Oh man, I wish I knew what this was so I could give him a proper shout out. But it's like, it's lost on me. I haven't seen it in months.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm gonna move on to the last question of the session. And I think it's a good one to like end off on. What was the first song you made for the album Hyperpunk?
It was Buzzkiller. It was Buzzkiller. Yeah. I think I mentioned it earlier. Like, it was the excuse me. It was the intro. Yeah, it was the intro. It was I knew that I wanted to try to capture the feel of what I wanted the rest of the album to be. And then when we were getting deeper and deeper into it, we had most of the album figured out, and I was like, well, how are we gonna end this thing? And I was like, well, it's got to be the mirrored version of Buzzkiller. And
Overkiller, yeah.
So and I didn't have that name for a little while, but I knew that it made it a little easier to write because I knew, like, excuse me,
you're good.
Got a frog in my throat.
No worries.
Oh, so much talking. Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna invert it, and so it was like, okay, well, it has to start with everything happening at once. You know, like everything's going off the shits, and then we slowly strip it away, and it ends in a very like emotional, quiet way. And yeah, and then, you know, whatever I was going through at that time, I was feeling a lot of the stuff I've mentioned, was just like the endless motivation and everything. It felt like a nice bookend to the rising intensity of Buzzkiller, the arrogance almost that we're giving off in the beginning. It's like, no, this is all a facade. It's actually really difficult, and so, and that was the last song I wrote for the album. Like, it felt
very poetic in a way. Yeah,
it's very, and I'm really proud of those two. I think that it ties the whole album together, and like
I love how their runtime is exactly the same.
Yeah.
They're both 1 minute 35 seconds.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's nice to. I like coming up with a gimmick before I come up with the song. Like, I think that helps, because when something is a blank slate and you're just like, I gotta come up with a song, it's fucking impossible, you know. So I have to come up with an angle that helps me focus in on what it is that I'm trying to.
Yeah, you want to give it some direction is what you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
All right. And with that, we're done with the questions. And that was IZZY Deluxe, everybody, from QBOMB.
Yeah! Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, thank you so much for coming on. You were, like, a wonderful guest. And for everybody, this is going to be put up on YouTube. If you missed any bit of the radio show from earlier, you can just catch it again on YouTube. Please, 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 I am imploring, check out QBOMB, share QBOMB with everyone you know, social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. All their songs are available up on YouTube. Get them on Spotify. They are a phenomenal group. And not just, you know, lyrically, like audio-wise, but just visually is such a treat to see, like, QBOMB and everything like that. Any shows in the future, see if you guys can check it out.
Yeah, got that December gallery show come out. It's gonna be dope.
Again, to plug that, what's the show called? What's the gallery called? So people can come and check it out.
It's actually, the gallery is one of the reasons why we named the band QBOMB, because it's such a cool space. So it really is a dream come true that many years in the making of being able to have a gallery and a show at that location. It's going to be really cool.
Yep. So hope you guys look forward to that. And if you're in the Little Tokyo area of LA, December 2nd or 3rd?
3rd.
December 3rd. Check out the gallery for QBOMB. And with that, we're signing off. Again, thank you so much, Izzy, for coming on.
Thank you, yeah.
Adios, amigos. See you guys next week.
Digitally eternal, make me into a cyborg. I wanna be a genius. Don't lobotomize my ego. Don't break bones, get violent. Defiance is never mindless. Be that change you wanna be. It's a dollar store philosophy. Tragedies provided. Don't take a minute to cry. Oh, we'll riot over the moment of silence. My glass is never empty, sort of half full, maybe 3/4 time now for drastic measures. I'm a diamond, not to pressure. I'm a monster. I'm godless. I'm the maestro of nonsense. Just trust me, I got this. I'm an asshole. I'm toxic. Get the crowd ballistic for these genre-bending misfits. Hyper-rock masters of perfect disaster. Let these savages down.